Has been given the opportunity to have his sentence cut by a judge saying he could wear a sign reading, "I stole from the families of the dead." Daniel Pinnell was given the option from a judge pleading guilty to taking around $350 from memorial cards at the Eau Claire funeral home where he worked.
You know, this guy sounds like a lawyer to me, Timmy.
I don't know. Hey, it could be a lawyer, right?
Full of tragedies, and this morning we're hearing about two men who lost their lives on the Trans-Canada, and out of that, you know, there is the possibility of life. Not to sound cold and callous this morning, but that's what we're going to talk about. It's a sensitive issue, but a very important issue. From someone dying, from someone losing their life, they can give life to other people, and that is called donating your organs and tissue. What we're talking about this morning is just that, and then we're talking about a very impressive man who is with me in the studio. You may have heard of him. You may have heard about him on our newscast today and certainly yesterday. George Marcello is with me in studio, and George, welcome to the show. Welcome to Saskatchewan.
Thank you, and good morning, Regina.
Now, a little bit of background about George. He's a 45-year-old who has survived a liver transplant. George, you've been walking across Canada. In fact, you walked across to Ontario. You've done a lot of walking. And we're going to talk about your views on the state of organ donation and tissue donation in Canada, why you're doing this. I mean, you've got to have a reason, a lot of spirit for doing this. And certainly we want to hear from some people this morning on their opinion about it, especially if you out there, a friend, a family, a relative who has gone through the process of waiting for a transplant. And we'll talk about that and much more, and simply find out a little bit more about this man who's among the people we see coming through Regina, I think, and walking across Canada for many different causes. George Marcello, to me, seems to be a little bit different. Great dedication, great enthusiasm, and great energy. So I think it's important that we find out why he's doing this, a bit about George, your chance to talk to him one-on-one, simply congratulate him if you care, and to talk about the issues surrounding signing your donor card, either the one that comes with your license, one you can get, having that in your will, carrying one with you, and all of that. And first of all, George, you have to ask the question, why in winter? Why do the walk in winter?
Actually, it's Premier Harris's fault. He changed his schedule on us. We were, I'm not saying that in a bad way, of course. We were scheduled to kick off the walk in March, and you know, we were planning to have the Premier there in March, and just something came up and he couldn't make it in March, so we put it off till June. And by that time we already had the route set up, so if we would have started March, I would have been in BC by now, you know, not going through the school bar, but you know, I'm getting an education about your winter out here in the prairies.
All right, and as well, you're on a 500-day walk across Canada. You won't be walking directly across the country, but you're covering sections of it. We'll talk a little bit about that. And this is day 249, must be, because yesterday was 248. So this morning, a chance for you to meet and talk to George Marcello. Organ donation and tissue donation has become his passion. He is a liver transplant survivor himself. In 1992, you were told you were going to die. It took you, I think, 3 years to get a transplant. There in itself is a story. So this morning at 936-9898 in town, long distance toll free, 1-800-409-3980, out where it counts. So we're going to talk with George Marcello, who co-founded Step by Step, Organ Transplant Association, diagnosed with terminal liver disease in '92, received a liver transplant operation in 1995, and we want to hear from you this morning as well. And if you don't like the idea of organ transplants or organ donations, or you have some misconceptions about it, I'm sure George will set you straight, and we'll talk about the impact on families and why this has become a national issue, not just a provincial one. Greg Bonnet with you here on Newsline on 980 CKRM. Back with George Marcello right after this quick break. We're talking about George Marcello and his odyssey across Canada to boost awareness of organ transplants, organ donations, and tissue donations. And the question, a couple of questions for you this morning, does Canada need a group of